This is Feature Minor. So Terrance Howard was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast where he was discussing the ether and if it exists. So basically, the ether would be this toroidal field energy. And in the discussion, he accidentally proved flat Earth, but then he dismissed it immediately because he thinks that the researchers that discovered this ether had thought the Earth was flat, but he said they were wrong.
And they invented straight lines.
Why did they do that?
Because they believed that the world was flat. They believed the world was flat at the time. And the church promoted. Pythagorean theorem comes off of this cube, a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
So they wanted to use all of these intertwining circles and create straight lines.
Because that's how they thought everything came down to, straight lines. They thought the world was flat. And I was like, oh my goodness. They didn't open the flower properly.
So that's when he gets into all this weird stuff about planets, and he goes off track because he thinks the previous researchers were wrong, but really they were correct in their research when they discovered how there's this energy all around us called the ether. And so it's kind of like how they're talking about the quantum theory where really everything is kind of connected. So there's an illusion of separation with everything. And this has to do also with the toroidal field where, according to research, the North Pole is where all of our magnets are attracted to because of this energy in the center of the Earth. And I'm going to get into a pretty serious discussion about this in another video, so stay tuned. But make sure you like and subscribe and all that so you don't miss it. But basically, with this North Pole center, there's said to be this great energy in the center that's allowing all of the heavens to rotate around the Earth. So people were trying to figure out if the Earth was rotating or if it's the skies. So really, according to my research, it's the skies that are rotating, and that's what's moving is the planets, well, the so-called planets and the stars are all moving around this North Polaris. So this North Center is causing this energy field, and you can actually tap into this, according to my research, and power up things. So really, with people using fossil fuels, as they like to call it, and look, I don't believe they're fossil fuels, but really, whatever you want to call it, with the fossil fuel industry, they're trying to say that supplies are limited when it comes to energy. So really, with this toroidal ether energy, it would be a way to allow people to consume energy unlimited. So with Terrance Howard, he was bringing up all this information about the ether and how this researcher, Michelson Morley, was researching the ether, and they thought the Earth was flat, and he was going into all that. So really, the Earth is flat, and this is what I'm starting to understand is why, part of the reason why they don't want us to understand this place, because then we start to uncover all these mysteries about the Earth. And if there's unlimited energy all around us that we can tap into, that would really change things. That's probably what the pyramids had to do with, is probably something like this, where they knew how to tap into the ether or the toroidal energy. So as Terrance Howard was discussing this topic with Joe Rogan, he had this diagram, and it was strange how enlightened he sounded. But he's onto something, I would say, but he's also off course because he gets into all this planet stuff. I think that's where he was thrown off, and that's probably the intended reason why this heliocentric deception has occurred, is to throw people off into this whole thing about other planets. And so their research kind of goes off course. But really, at the core of what he was saying, I could pick up on some information where he's probably onto something. So you can always find some nuggets of truth in everything if you listen. Like, you can kind of, even if someone's off, you can kind of see what they're getting at. So Terrance Howard seemed pretty enlightened on this subject overall. I mean, he was talking about how there's this ether, and really this information makes much more sense on a flat earth anyways. So with the straight lines he was depicting, he can see how the previous researchers had thought the earth was flat, and they had uncovered the north center Polaris where there's this ether. And so as he continues, he's talking about this free energy that you can tap into, and how gravity is a form of electrical energy and magnetism. So this is really what Witsit Gets It has been explaining to a lot of people. So he's kind of like the expert on the subject. So it'd be interesting if Witsit could somehow get Terrance Howard maybe on an interview or something, and they would probably be able to uncover a lot, because it sounds like Terrance Howard just needs to figure out that the researchers that said the earth was flat with their original research on the subject were not wrong. They were actually correct. So if Witsit Gets It can steer Terrance Howard onto the subject, that'd be cool, because he has celebrity status, and he knows how to reach a lot of people. So if he could come around to this information, that would really be groundbreaking. And so with this information that Terrance Howard was uncovering, he was discovering how there's free energy and how gravity is not what we were told, basically. And this is that discussion that I've been hearing. Like, gravity, they're saying, is some type of electrical energy and magnetism. So I had the simplified version where I'm saying gravity is just weight, and I explained that in my other videos. I think I have a gravity playlist as well. But this is a more sophisticated and complex discussion that people like Witsit Gets It are having about gravity. And I hear even DITRH having this discussion as well. And now we're seeing Terrance Howard is tapping into this whole thing about gravity not being what we were told. They're saying it's some type of electrical energy that has to do with the Toral field and with the ether. So that's pretty much what they're saying gravity has to do with, and it's not what we were told. And this is the energy that we can tap into. And also, Terrance Howard was admitting that there is no core of the earth, and that's a very easy one to figure out, because with the way they describe the core of the earth, first of all, they've never dug down that far, more than 8 miles. That's like the max that they've dug beneath the earth, and they don't know what's going on beneath our feet. So with their whole idea of there being a magnet core, well, that doesn't work with their theory because of the heat problem, because at the temperatures that they say the core of the earth is, there would be no way for magnetism to work. So Terrance Howard figured this out. He figured out that there is no core of the earth. So that's why I'm saying he's onto some things. Like, even though he goes off into the whole planets and galaxies and stuff like that, he fell into that rabbit hole that the general public fell into as well. Well, the thing is, he does have some information. So that's what I picked up on is, yeah, he knows that there's no core of the earth, and I agree with him on that. So that's a point of agreement, and I agree with him about the ether and the toroidal field. So that's where you can kind of see how maybe this just needs to be kind of a discussion with Terrance Howard, with maybe a flat earther like Witsit Gets It, where they can have this sophisticated discussion and really uncover a lot of things. Because Terrance Howard, he seems to be onto something, because he said he had actually a patent for the virtual reality patent. So he's pretty much saying how he figured out how to make this technology way before it even came about. So this Terrance Howard actually surprised me with his information. I mean, I've heard a lot of people discussing his conversation with Joe Rogan and kind of talking down on it and everything, but it was pretty interesting. Like, I don't need to agree with the person on everything to be able to listen to them and see if they're onto something or not. So that's why I said, even though Terrance Howard is a heliocentrist and thinks there's planets, physical planets and stuff like that, that doesn't mean I can't hear the information he has to say. And with other researchers as well, I'm willing to listen to other researchers, because you can always, I have the ability to kind of pick up on things. I can pick out what stuff I want to dismiss and what stuff I want to kind of look more into. So yeah, with Terrance Howard, he was also saying some cool stuff about how kind of the research I've been uncovering with my creator work. I did most of that on my other channel, though, on my Feature Mind 2 channel, where I discussed the topic. I even discussed it on this channel with my God is not what you were told. What I call that video? It was called "Are We Living in the Mind of God?" So yeah, that video kind of goes into this whole thing as well, where I discuss how, you know, what life really is not what we are told really, and if there is a way to, you know, look at existence as, you know, God being involved in everything, you know, because he made everything, he spoke everything into existence, and the vibrational energies had manifested the physical reality of our world. So with the word of the creator being spoken into this world and speaking everything into existence, that means that everything is in a way connected to the creator. So that's where I'm coming from, basically, when I say that individualism and things like that are kind of an illusion, and that goes back to the quantum theory and stuff like that, where yeah, they're figuring out that everything is kind of connected. So everything's kind of a whole, and we see things as separate, but really it's all connected together through energy. And you know, this is a very deep discussion, so I'll probably leave a link to my playlist about this subject if you want to dig deeper with me on this topic, because I really go into great detail in my other videos, but we don't have time to get into that right now. But basically, yeah, with Terrance Howard, it seems like he's onto something, in my opinion. I think it would just take a discussion with someone like Wits It Gets It, who understands this topic as well, because a lot of the things he was saying kind of reminded me of, you know, a similar way. He's just explaining it in a different way, because he, like I said, he's a heliocentrist and all that, so that kind of makes his information different, but at the same time, he's kind of on the same path in a way when it comes to, like I said, the ether and the free energy. And I really think that's why, you know, that's part of the reason why flat earth has been hidden, is because once we figure out this world is nothing like what they were telling us, then we'll start to see that this world is full of energy, and you know, we don't have to, you know, be thinking that everything's scarce like that, because there could be unlimited energy out here. Plus, one of the last things I'll bring up on this topic is when Terrance Howard got into the sun drift theory, where he's saying basically he's detected that there's a movement of the sun. So he, like I said, since he's a heliocentrist, he's looking at it different. But the way I'm looking at it is, if there is some type of drift of the sun, that would actually prove the theory of the other lands, like the moon map theory, where they're saying there's other continents beyond Antarctica, and there's a greater circle of the earth, and as the sun moves, it would freeze areas, so Antarctica would eventually, according to this theory, become unfrozen, perhaps, if that's not exactly the end of, you know, the earth, the circle earth. If the sun drifts and moves around a greater circle, that could unlock other continents that have been frozen, and people would actually have to migrate with the sun. It'd be a slow moving process, probably would take maybe thousands of years per, you know, probably even more than that, perhaps, you know. So if the sun is actually drifting, though, that would really change everything, because eventually other lands would be uncovered and Antarctica would start melting, and we've been hearing that Antarctica is melting. So maybe that has to do with the sun drift theory, where, you know, possibly it could be melting other lands. And if Terrance Howard is saying that he's detected this movement, you know, he's calling it sun drift, but like I said, he's putting it with the heliocentric theory. So he's looking at it like as if the Goldilocks zone, where the earth is rotating in the perfect balance, where it can provide the perfect heat for humanity and life, while he's thinking that there's going to be another planet, maybe Mars, and then eventually another planet would take turns being in that Goldilocks zone. So that's how he's looking at it. But the way I'm looking at it, I just explained to you where I'm seeing the sun drift theory. If there's any detection of that, and if there's anything to that, that would have to, in my opinion, prove that the sun is actually moving around a greater circle of the earth, and other lands could be uncovered that way. So yeah, that's about it for today. I'll leave a link, most likely, to the Terrance Howard interview I'm not sure yet, but always check the description box and comment section to see what links I leave, because there's always more information I like to share with you, and that's where you'll find it. I'll also leave links to my other channels, my social media, my Feature My Store, my free email newsletters, and much more. And once again, I'm going to remind you, please follow me on all my social media. Also, if you would like to support this channel, please donate as little as $1 to help keep this channel online. It's very important. So thanks for tuning in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind signing off.